Don't miss the Divas. Subscribe to Big CBS Love on your set-top box today. SMS Love to 55454 to get Big CBS Love. The Diva Destination.
The journey for me has been very interesting, and the reason I say so is when I started out, I didn't have a destination in mind. It was just I wanted to, I'm an explorer by nature, so even on my work I've moved from position to position, different functions, different places, different cities, and I have always enjoyed what I do. There's always a freshness sense in my engagement with my work. And that's what I particularly enjoy. So for me, the journey has been very, very interesting, and it continues to be interesting actually.
It has been in any way.
Yeah. So as boring as it sounds, it doesn't make a difference actually in our business for sure. I'm very, very comfortable. There are a lot of men, especially in the senior positions. I'm very, very comfortable with that. In fact, even when I was a child, there were most of the children my age in the neighborhood were mostly boys, and I used to be normally the only girl in that group. So I was very comfortable then. And then in the university again, I went to Roorkee University, which is primarily an engineering college. And like all engineering colleges, there's almost 90% plus population is men. So there I was part of the dramatic society, did some plays, and in most of them I was the only woman over there as well. So I think that of course helps. Being comfortable with men, so to say, does help. And equally important is the fact that the men should feel comfortable with you as well. So I see, firstly, as I said, that the skill sets required and the competence required is not specific to men or women, and which is why the opportunities, I should say, are almost equal for whether you are a guy or a girl. But having said that, I think it does help. Like in our profession, you talked about Rhoda Mehta and doing very well and so early on. Now that I think surely helps, because there are no sort of mindsets that, at least in this industry, there are no mindsets women can't do well, or maybe it will be like an experiment of sorts, or so to say. Unlike maybe in some other sectors which are very male dominated, and there are hardly any women, then I think it might get tough initially for the first round of women to do well, because there could be mindsets which dictate that maybe women will not be successful. Having said that, I feel that Asian culture largely is very, very pro-women, so to say. In a lot of Asian countries anyways, we've seen women leaders, and this has been the case for many, many years now. So I find, in general, I find the Western society more regressive for women at work. So women, I think in general, I find they are more multi-sensorial, multi-dimensional, so to say. They tend to have higher EQs, and I think they are more receptive to learning and observing. And so I think they should be making some sort of different decisions as compared to men. I think they are more shrewd in a way.
Okay.
So yeah, I think they do. I think more than women and men, again, it's a function of which era are you representing. So if you look at, if you're talking about consumer insights and advertising, I think it's more a function of whether you are relevant to your times or not.
Yeah.
And so so it's not, it's whether you are talking to a kid, whether you're talking to a guy, whether you're talking to a woman. It's just whether you are sort of depicting the current era or not, or are you still talking the cliched language of years gone by.
Okay.
So I think that's more important rather than saying whether is it targeted. I think while there are some differences between men and women, definitely in the way they consume media as well. But in terms of the thinking, as I said, it's not like so dramatically different. But overall, I do feel that women are shrewder because they are more multisensorial, higher EQs. I think read more than needed at times. Yes, of course. As the whole economy grows and economic independence, women become more economically independent, so to say. Whether or not they become individual homeowners is not as much of an issue, as much as they definitely have a huge say in terms of, you know, what property to buy, where to buy, and so on and so forth. I feel that there is more input given by women even in joint properties. So
She is.
I think she is more individualistic, more clear, has more clarity of thought, much more confident, and happier talking her mind, doesn't have to think too much of the repercussions, so to say. And that's also because as a society, there is a more acceptable society to such, such viewpoints and such mind states. So I think it's all changed for the better. I think somebody who can catch your imagination without trying too hard, and comfortable in her own skin, so to say.